Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo and it's great to be on this show where we discuss all things books. And I hope you have been reading, like I always do every week, challenging you to read. If you had a target to read X number of books this year, I do hope you've made good progress. And if you have not, well, pick those books up and then start reading. Our guest today is Dr. Membere-Otaji, who has co-authored a book that tells his life story. This is a story that I found very inspiring as I flipped through the pages of the book you will get introduced to today. Let's get to meet with him and then enjoy the conversation where his book, Push Through the Wall, will be exposed. Enjoy this.
Dr. Membere-Otaji is a medical doctor turned entrepreneur, a speaker, and an author. Emmy is the founder of Dr. Membere-Otaji Foundation and chairman CEO of Elshcon Group of companies with interest in oil and gas, shipping, and healthcare. He is an alumnus of the University of Lagos Medical School, Nigeria, and McDonough School of Business, Georgetown University, Washington, D.C. in the USA. Emmy is a recipient of several awards in the commercial and health fields. He is a former Commissioner for Health and a former Special Advisor to the Rivers State Government on Investments and Privatization. He is the co-author of Push Through the Wall. Dr. Emmy joins Channels Book Club to discuss the book.
Dr. Emmy, it's great to have you on Channels Book Club.
Kule, thanks for having me again.
Great to have you here. And congrats on your book, Push Through the Wall, The Way of Success, the story of a resolute maverick. I like the cover. It's creative and it's indicative that I'm dealing with a maverick here. That's you, right? The younger you.
Yes, age of 19.
19. Wow. Interesting. Although I got a hint on why you've used this title, the title I like a lot, but I would like you to say something about it. Push through the wall. That sort of summarizes who you are, your person, your character, and your story, doesn't it?
Yes. Well, basically, as you've seen, the book is a biographical leadership book that chronicled my life story from birth to the various stages until 2023. Now, the name came about 1999 to 2003 when I was Commissioner of Health in my state and also Chairman Commissioners of Health group in the country. And coming from the military era, pre-1999, at 99 May, and here everything was in literal tatters, and then we need to get things right. We need to put things together, and then of course there are a lot of reasons to give excuses. The money, the country's money, coming from the pariah nation that Nigeria was during the military era. Abacha, and then of course Abdul Salami, head of state, stayed briefly before the civilian came in. So things were difficult, for governance at the public sector level, and then there are a lot of excuses. So I tell the people in the ministry, push through the wall. No excuse. So, as you can see, even my permanent secretary then, who is today the deputy governor of Rivers State, in her contribution in the book, did say that was what everybody called me, because that was me. And generally, even in my private sector, personal businesses and associations, I don't take any excuses. Push through the wall. Get results. Just give me results.
I love that. It's fantastic. And I should say that I enjoyed reading your book a lot. One of the things that intrigues me about your story is how you sort of like meandered from one profession to another. You moved from medicine You didn't work for too long. You started your own hospital. And then from there, politics, public sector, private sector, business. Today you are in the marine sector, amongst other sectors. So I like that. I found that very inspiring. And that told me that in this journey of life, a number of us have a lot of talents and potential that we need to explore maximally, fully. But I would like you to talk about that a little bit and summarize this book. Somebody who is curious, what will he or she find in here?
Well, as I did say, the book is a biographical leadership book, and that chronicled my life from birth in city of Port Harcourt. We gave a little bit about the history of Port Harcourt, and then I'm from Calabari. Calabari Ijo.
Calabari Ijo. Oh, okay.
No, it's Calabari, but we are part of the Ijo ethnic nationality. And then schools, and then all the way up, to my various private sector, personal businesses I was started, and then government assignments. So it's critical from there are 19 chapters. 19 chapters.
Yeah.
So from chapter 1 up until chapter 10, chronicle my story. It's say it as it is, and so that in each chapter you have about 10 to 20 leadership nuggets. It's not all bed of roses. It's not all successes, but the nuggets will tell you, these are the good things. From the nuggets you see the good parts, and the things, the banana peels you shouldn't do. 15, 16, 17, it's almost like summary of leadership. Now talk about leadership is a management tool.
Yeah.
Leadership, they are professors of leadership. So now, instead of using many life stories of different people, this is life story of one person. So that's all.
What you just said casually is actually loaded.
Thank you.
It's loaded. But Dr. Amy, I mean, it's a question with somebody might say with an obvious answer, but it's very powerful the way people mold us.
Yes.
As we're growing up.
Yes.
The people around us. Is that part of because I noticed that in your book, is that some kind of divine orchestration, all these people coming into our lives to make us who we become? I'd like you to go a bit philosophical on that, because that part of your book really struck me very hard. Seeing later on the things you were able to accomplish and how you tied and connected them to that background and those people in your story.
Well, for me, I will say some of those people that come across you in life, you didn't go out of your way. It's like where you are born to, who you are born to. It's not your making.
And who is family?
Who is family? It's not you. Now, so it's not what you design, but you found yourself there. But also to note that from childhood, I've always had there are opportunities near and far around us. There are things near and far around us. Many people are not that observant. I always have antenna. I have sensors all over. So I just catch. So things make impression on me. I walk through a space, and before just a walk through, I can tell you. So those are the things many people don't, and that's a trait that people should. Again, it's part of the things you put in the book, that you don't move with your eyes closed. I mean, closed literally. It's open, literally closed.
Let me read something from your book, page 45, chapter 4. Amy grew up with a hunger to succeed in life.
Yes.
That passion was the force that propelled him to pursue excellence in the endeavors of his choice with extraordinary resolution. So that came natural to you, right? That hunger to succeed.
Yes.
It was who you are.
Yes,
it was who you were.
Yes.
That's interesting. Are there some people born without that?
Well, I want to say this. As a medical doctor and as a psychologist to the extent, because medical doctors did a lot of human psychology. And I can tell you, most are born with this thing, but they are just not using it. We are not using, most people are not using up to 50% or 40% of their potential.
So people even say 10%.
Thank you. I'm just being
generous.
Being generous. I'm just being generous. I don't want to. So a lot of times, look, if you say from childhood, I was focused. This is what I want. As a child, I've forgotten, but in the book, Mr. Tom West, who grew up when I was a baby, when I was a child, I didn't do anything. He says I will come in front of our apartment, and then every car, we are talking about 60s, early 60s. And I was 2-3 years old. And every car and then there are not too many cars, in Nigeria those days. And then every car that passes, I want to cram the name, the number, the make. What does a 2, 3, 4-year-old has to do with that? But that was my sense of, I was inquisitive. I was curious. I want to learn. My environment, I want to know what's happening about my environment. So, and I also know that I want this. So if I want this, then I go for it.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Now, one other thing I found intriguing. You read medicine 8 years, thereabouts, if I'm correct, after you realized that life was not for you. Going up, ward rounds every morning, that kind of routine lifestyle of a young doctor. You realized was not for you, and you wanted to be free. You wanted to do something else. You wanted to express yourself, and you took that bold decision. You resigned, and you started your own practice after. I would like you to talk about that, because at that point in your life, it was a major decision.
Yes.
And you wrote about how you read a number of books and you thought about it, and before you eventually made that decision, and your life changed completely once you took that step. I would like you to talk about it and talk about how in life, at times we reach that junction and we have to make such choices.
Well, for generally in life, a lot of people don't know their purpose in life. Growing up, I used to ask,
purpose?
Yes, purpose. Because, there's a purpose. God didn't just create you, just drop you down from your parents.
There's a reason.
The reason. And I've always asked, growing up, who is Amy? What makes me happy? What makes me sad? What makes me... I generally want to know who I am. And I've always had that question round about me. So a time came, a doctor finished 1983 as a medical doctor. I wanted to join the military, of course it's in the book. And then, of course, my thing is I always ask questions. After the youth corps, I served as a civilian doctor with the military. Here was I doing residency or specialization, a doctor, employed. So I got in a year or two after I started my small private clinic to give me extra income. So then put doctors and nurses and paying them, and then also doing my residency. It's a lot of work, but that's it. I always like to multitask, so it really kept me very busy. And then by 1989, I found that this clinic, antenatal clinic, various clinics, theater, ward rounds, I love to be a doctor. I found that I have more to give society than that staying in that cocoon of just life, So I told my head of department, I'm leaving. He said, no. And then I told the chief medical director, I want to leave. He said, you are young, you are nice, you are passing your exams to be a guy. We'll put a path, we'll draw a path for you to be a professor of gynecology. I said, no, I'm sorry, I'm leaving. So they refused. So 1999, I went on vacation and dropped my letter, and that was it.
Okay, then there was your sojourn into politics, which is exciting. Your involvement in River State politics, you wrote the good, the bad, and the ugly in this book. But because of our time, I just have one question for you as per that area. What is the single most important lesson that you learned in your practical involvement, your actual involvement in politics?
Well, thank you. I think they are true. That number one, my worry is, as I said, when I left 1990 into the open world, including practice, business, and politics, I had in mind, politics of ideology, what you believe in, and then you align to the ideology of that group. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, in Nigeria politics, I do not think there is actual politics of ideology. No, it's a different ballgame. But let me not go into detail. Not ideology. You can see somebody in America say, I'm a Republican, and defined by everything, and that's it. Whether his brother or sister is a Democrat is immaterial. Mm-hmm. He is a Republican. He knows he can switch, and if he's switching, he tells you why he's switching.
Yeah, the word Republican represents certain ideologies.
Our Democrat, the same thing, but here it is not. So that's one thing that
that was your experience back then.
That was an experience,
and it's still your observation till now.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse. It's different from what I had imagined when we had political associations under the president or the head of state Babangida's time. Trying to open up the political space. And then the other one is the godfatherism. It's real, it's big, such that if there are 100 people or 1,000 people that get into politics, the people you see are successful, in quotes, are probably 10-20%. The others will just go around in circles because they are not they are not favored by the godfathers. So godfatherism is real.
You wrote a lot about godfatherism.
That is real. It's real to the extent of, especially more so if you are, I won't say self-obey, you know what you want, but you have a lot of values. Like Warren Buffett said, you have integrity, you have energy, and those qualities that and you have intelligence, and you have a rich, rich, and you probably have some money to spend of your own in some political area space in the country. You won't go far, or often, I'm not saying 100% of times, you won't really go far. You need to be, if you want me to jump, how high? In fact, there's a book, when I left politics, I bought, is it 48 Keys to Power?
48 Laws of Power.
I wish I'd read it earlier. That book is a book, is a standard manual for Nigerian
If I'm going into politics, I have to read that.
That's a standard manual.
Those are two powerful lessons and observations. Your book also reveals certain, should I call them failings, personal failings challenges that you had.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you wrote that in your book. Why did you do that? Maybe you want to hint the viewers. You shouldn't tell viewers everything in this book, by the way. But maybe you want to hint us, on what I'm talking about and why you wrote.
The intent is, look, failures and successes are nuances. So that if I'm going to put this book to be of value to you, then you must also know that this person is human. He failed in these areas. Yeah. He did some nuance, some stupid things. Some of the things that modern day young person cannot align with. Yeah. And also succeeded. So basically, I have to now tell the story as it is. Some people are going through family challenges. Wife, divorce, separation, and all that. Not too detailed, but to some extent, not begin to say, tell it all type of thing, but some story. So that's why you saw areas, both practical and theoretical. I have to now pen down the leadership nuggets. And then the later part also now talk about leadership. And I also found, in retrospect, now look, what did I do right? Like every part asking questions. I want to do this. I'll go to a person who should know better. And I found that I've been doing that since secondary school. So every milestone of my life, I was doing it. So look back. So there, and then the gut feeling issue, the gut feeling. Oh, I have a gut feeling, even though the fundamentals said this. From my experience, if the gut feeling says that, and I will do that. So those are all leadership things.
Okay, so I'm going to pick a few nuggets. Just bullet point responses. I'll pick nuggets that stood out for me. I'll focus on the ones in chapter 1 because because I like connecting that small beginning. Yes. With where somebody is today. Yes. You said in the second nugget there, you said, do not seek the easy way out. Life is tough. Only the toughened can face future challenges.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. Life is tough.
Life is tough.
Yeah, life is not a bed of roses. How did it come about? Growing up, I know a lot of people, especially those whose parents were very, very wealthy at the time, whose parents at the time were very tough. They just think life is all easy and all that. So they don't have that drive to succeed. I'm not talking about succeeding at all costs and succeeding, doing negative things and all that.
So we should tell our kids that life is tough.
Yes. So what we are saying is that do not seek the easy way out.
Don't seek the easy way out. Okay.
Life is tough. Yes, life is tough.
Yeah.
Don't seek the easy way out. Only the tough one can face the challenges. Brace up and face the challenges.
Remember those who helped you to find your feet or direction in life. They are your pathfinders, which you spoke about earlier.
Yes.
That's very important, right?
Yes. I found that means a lot to me. And a lot of people don't, and they should.
Children are highly impressionable. Mind what you say or do in their presence. Their adulthood behavior is shaped by what they copied as children.
Yes.
Dr. Amy, thank you very much for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for writing this, Push Through the Wall, Way of Success, the story of a resolute maverick.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. Let's get to know what you think about Push Through the Wall by Dr. Amy Membere-Otaji. That is one book you have to get and read, especially if you are trying to find your way through your professional life and other aspects of life, I have to say. Well, my name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.